Something pretty wild just happened in the Parkinson's world. A device that's been exploding across the UK and Europe, the BeechBand, finally started shipping in North America just a couple of weeks ago. And already people here are talking about it like crazy. So today, I sit down with the creator himself to ask the questions that all of us want answers to. What is this BeechBand actually designed to do? Why are people saying it's helping them walk with more confidence? And is it really as simple as putting it on and going about your day? Now, if you've been hearing all of the buzz and you're wondering whether this could help you or someone you love, this conversation is going to give you the clearest picture yet. And make sure to watch right till the end because Carl shares the story of how the Beach Band was born, and I promise you've never heard anything like it before.
Welcome to Living with Parkinson's. The good, the bad, and the reality. Real talk, real life, real community with Bryce Perry. Let's begin.
Well, hey everyone, and welcome back to the show. I'm really glad that you're here. And today we're talking about something that you've probably been seeing around a lot lately. And it's been popping up in my comments and people have been messaging me about it. It's becoming a bit of a buzz in the Parkinson world. So I thought, all right, let's get the man behind the band in here. Let's actually talk about what this thing is, where it came from, and what it's trying to help with. So everybody, if you'd welcome with me, Carl Beech. Carl, nice to meet you.
Very nice to meet you too.
So glad you're here. Thanks for coming on the broadcast. And I just want to start out with something really simple. For people hearing about this for the very first time, what exactly is the Beech Band in the most simplest terms possible?
It's a very simple, dumb device, we call it. It's got one button. It doesn't have a smart technology attached to it. It doesn't have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth. It's a simple thing that sits on your wrist, so you can wear it anywhere. We could get into that. And it sends... it uses basically vibrotactile stimulation, but we call it subconscious vibrotactile stimulation. So it sends out a vibration into the nervous system, a very specific frequency delivered in a very specific way, and it can have some startling effects on people. So at the moment, it's a wellness device. We're going through medical device certification. So just add a caveat right at the start.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
As I talk about this
You got to be careful, Carl. We got to be really careful.
My story. I'm going to talk about my health condition, and I can only talk about what others are telling us. We're not making claims for the company ourselves, so yeah.
Totally get it. Hey, I'm the same way. It's like I've got a little disruptor out there, and I have to every time. It's like, hey, I'm not a doctor, but hey, this is my life, and this is what it's like, right? So, all right. Well, Carl, you know what? Do me a favor. Take us back to the beginning. Like, what was going on in your life when this idea first hit, and kind of what was going on in your life, and then what was this moment? When did you have this moment where you said, like, holy smokes, this might actually help people?
So, in a nutshell, I have young onset Parkinson's, and medics reckon it goes back about 15 years. First I noticed people were saying to me, "Why are you limping?" I think I haven't hurt my leg, and that's a bit weird. I didn't even notice it myself. My speech was going off, so I started slurring slightly, and my tone was getting softer. I was a CEO of an organisation. Normally, people listened when I spoke, and nothing. They were just talking over me all the time. So I thought this is a bit odd. Anyway, then fast forward 15 years, because I'm a man, I thought it was because I was lifting too many kettlebells. I had all these other symptoms.
Of course, there's always that.
Yeah. But long story short, medics don't really recognise young onset. In the UK, there's only like less than 20,000 people with it. So they don't see it. So there was a bit of bemusement about the different muscle twitches I was getting and so on. I was referred a few times, different places, eventually ended up in front of a neurologist who diagnosed me in minutes. He basically said, I saw the way you got out of your chair for a start, but he eliminated a few other things. I had a DAT scan, which is when they pump you full of nuclear waste and measure the dopamine neurons in your brain a few hours later. They say, don't go near people, don't urinate near people, and don't go near pregnant women. I think I did all of those things in the 3 hours.
Exactly.
I couldn't avoid it. And then,
so just so we understand, you follow what the advice all the time, right? You're following the rule. I love it.
But that's why I'm a disruptor, right?
That's exactly it.
Yeah, they give you the pills and they send you away. But for me, it progressed quite rapidly from them. I was diagnosed with diabetes at the same time, which was a shock. I was running marathons and all sorts. So I was teetotal. So was teetotal for 3.5 years. So I thought, well, that's a bit weird. So clearly there was some attack on my autoimmune system. But I then I went on a trip to covertly enter a cobalt child mine in Congo. Congo. I think it was me and my colleague Mark. We now run something called the Freedom and Justice Partnership. We were the first Westerners to get in and out with evidence. I took 362 pictures and stills of corporate mining entities working with the kids, all that kind of stuff. But it was traumatic. You're literally walking over the graves of kids in the mines, and it's like Dante's Inferno without the fire. I like the adventure of dodging, people with machine guns and stuff. That was all right. But seeing the trauma with the kids really hit me. And as we know, stress accelerates the condition. My speech was already very problematic. I had something that only affects 6% of people with Parkinson's, which is vocal freeze. When I came back, I couldn't speak.
Wow.
I literally lost my ability to speak. I actually did a speaking tour of Australia in between. I did 15 keynote talks in 2 weeks. It was exhausting with Parkinson's. So those two things, when I came back, the impact on me was severe. And so I'm struggling with my walking. I'm struggling with my bladder and bowel. I'm struggling with my balance, my swallowing, my speech. And I'm putting on weight. I can't move. And I just thought, is this it for me?
Yeah.
This isn't good. I'm 53 now.
I was gonna say, so that's 50. You're 53 years old at this point.
Yeah, and I was 50 when I just turned 50 when all this was happening, and my neurologist basically told me I was going to lose the ability to speak pretty much.
Wow.
And I should speak this slowly, like that,
Wow.
And even then, I couldn't really
Scary.
speak. I've got footage of me. It just looks appalling. Actually, it's just heartbreaking. Anyway, I also had anxiety, amongst other things. I wasn't an anxious person before. It's obviously a disruption to the brain pathways. It was making me very anxious. I couldn't walk into a coffee shop.
Yeah, man.
And I went from giving talks to thousands of people to not being able to order a coffee at Costa's or Starbucks. Terrible. So I thought, how do I fix this? I knew all they did was throw the pills and then maybe brain surgery or a pump. This can't be it. So I had this crazy idea around queuing. I was suspicious of queuing being in Parkinson's. You look for lines in the ground, aim your leg, blah, blah, blah. Or in speak, you point at a square, I am speaking. So I thought, why am I looking and sounding like C-3PO of Star Wars? This isn't a good look. And this can't be it. Then I had this mad thought, Bryce. I thought, why am I giving a signal to myself? Surely it's my brain that needs a signal. So how do I get this directly to my brain without me messing up along the way? So I was thinking about all these things over about 12 weeks. For anxiety, I had a startling moment. I was having a panic attack and I saw a kindly old lady. I went over to her and I said, I can't, Parkinson's, help. And she just gave me a hug, held my hand. And it left, the anxiety left. And I thought, wow, there's something about touch. So that was playing on my mind. And then this whole kind of queuing thing, I'm thinking, how do I get this past me? How do I get this past me? Then one night I was watching Apocalypse Now and eating a double-decker bar chocolate we get in the UK.
Because that's what you do when you're at your wit's end. You go to Apocalypse Now. Yeah, it's
Apocalypse Now and the bar chocolate, right?
That's it.
So, and I was sitting in the chair, and I thought, that's interesting. This thought dropped in my head. Where is the safest place I've ever been? Just like that, just thought. And I thought, I bet it was my mother's room. I bet as I'm growing in consciousness, at the end of my mum's pregnancy with me, I'm getting ready to be born. I bet every system in there is saying, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe.
Yeah.
I thought, what do I feel in the room? Well, I feel my mother's heartbeat. So I joined all these dots and I thought, what's the heartbeat of a third trimester pregnant woman? Obviously, the body, we are told as men that the body is under huge strain.
Right.
And,
yes.
So you think a calming heart rate is like a soothing rhythm would be 50 beats. But actually, the baby's feeling between 85 to 95, maybe.
Wow.
But that's what the baby's associating. So I then had this thought that night: can I trick my brain that I'm safe again? So I started to do this, 80 beats a minute, which is quite fast.
Tapping, like you're just sort of tapping at what that rate.
Yeah. I did it for about an hour because I thought, I wonder if I do this for so long, I just forget I'm doing it. Then after about an hour, and it's hard with Parkinson's to do that for an hour, so I'm like,
you're smacking, everything's smacking
And after about an hour, I opened my mouth to speak. And I said, when I tap, I can speak. which is a short sentence, but it was the first sentence I got out in months.
Wow.
And I nearly fell off my chair. I started crying, actually. And when I composed myself, I got out of the chair, still tapping myself, and I'm walking around my living room. And my foot isn't dropping. I'm not dragging my leg. I looked in the mirror. My face masking had substantially reduced.
Wow.
I couldn't believe it. So I phoned my mate Nick, who is now Chief Technology Officer at BeechBand and co-inventor with me. And I said to him, look, I've discovered this thing. I think you could build a device. Because he's good like that. But he can do anything.
Yeah.
He's one of them. So he,
we all need
he
a Nick.
built it.
We all need Nicks, right? Because Nick's just like, what is this weird thing you did? Okay, no problem. I'm going to build something.
Yeah, he did. I said, look, I've got this idea for this thing. And he went, I'll build it. And he did in 3 days.
What?
And he popped it in the post. I got on FaceTime.
Yeah.
And I put it on with him, present, and I could speak.
Wow.
And I could walk around the room. So we then made 29 prototypes with 3D printers.
Oh, man.
And then let the world know, well, on my Facebook. And then put them up for sale, and 1,500 sold in a matter of hours.
Wow.
So then we thought we wanted something. So we formed a company, and we started to improve it. We got an industrial designer on board, and we got manufacturers in the UK involved because we really wanted it to be British based, and formed a business. And now here we are. We're a year in. There's about 25,000 devices out there. They're selling around 10,000 a month at the moment. We expect that to go up to a lot more.
Wow. Well, and North America just opened up. Was it last week? I think, or a week before.
All of the EU, North America, Australia, New Zealand. And next year we're going to Japan, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, beautiful. South Asia. Yeah, we may even go to Scandinavia eventually.
So, why not? Who knows? Maybe they need it there too, right? So, okay, let me ask you this. So, did you have any background? So, you didn't have a background in technology or wearables or anything to that degree, or did you have?
No. I'm a lateral thinker.
Yeah, just sort of just an idea and just hit.
Yeah, I'm an idea guy. Yeah.
Okay, so if you think about now, of course, we know everybody with Parkinson's is different, right? So. And we know that better than anyone. But for what you've seen so far, okay, so all these sales, everything's going crazy. It's the buzz, and congratulations, by the way. I mean, there's not too many people that can. I mean, I think a lot of us have an idea that we've had in our head, and then we see it years later and said, "Oh, I thought of that before." But to actually sit there and come up with what you were doing, and then have that, and like in 3 days and all that stuff. But from everything you've heard so far, who seems to get the most out of it? Like, from what you've heard, again, as a non-medical, whatever you want to call it,
yeah, it's anecdotal. Yeah. This is just what we've been told, just add that caveat again. Yeah, but what we've seen is I started putting it on other people with autonomic conditions, and it's staggering. So firstly, it has a huge impact on anyone who's stressed out. Okay. And the reason being, it tricks the brain that you're safe. It basically initiates what we think initiates a parasympathetic nervous system very quickly. So most people in sympathetic mode, which is fight or flight, in 20 minutes you're chilled. Most people. And I expected it to do that. So people put it on and go, but it's too fast. Yeah, no. Just give it time. What we find is 25% of people have an immediate response. The vast majority can take weeks, months. But eventually it kicks in, and we think what's happening is maybe the brain is being retrained, new pathways are being connected. Now, a disease can creep up on you without any symptoms for years. It goes without saying that you could be having new pathways created without feeling it outwardly, but then suddenly. So for that reason, because we want to have integrity, we're very values driven as a company. So we give 100 days money back guarantee on it, because you need to give it a good 100 days.
Yeah, you got to see it through.
Yeah, and it needs to be a subconscious signal, right? So you've got to be like the person who lives by the train tracks. And everyone thinks, how do you not hear those blooming trains? But it's because your brain's trained the noise out.
Used to it. Yeah, that's true.
So if you keep it on, the people who get most impact, they work for 7 hours a day, 7 days a week. But
7 hours, 7 hours a day?
7 hours a day. We've surveyed now 2,000 people.
Okay.
And I mean, way more than a clinical data set, so 2,000 real world stories, and those who get the most benefit where it consistently 7 days a week, 7 hours a day. So charge it up, wear it, wears it up to 3 hours, charge it up again, wear it.
So, okay. So like take not 7 hours straight, but you're kind of taking your.
Doesn't matter. Break. It's all about,
Okay.
Doesn't matter how many breaks there are, actually. It's just wearing it 7 hours a day plus.
Gotcha.
But it's affected Tourette's. Migraines tend to resolve in under a minute. Dyslexia, where the words move out on the page, instant resolution. And most people have tried it. Autistic kids stop stimming sometimes. People with ADHD get calm. MS sufferers have stopped tremors. Stroke victims have got out of wheelchairs or started swallowing again. We've been in lots of different rehab units and seen the most remarkable impacts. And for Parkinson's and FND, actually, remarkable efficacy. It's 78% on the latest
Wow.
survey.
Wow. Well, see that totally amazed me. That's why I had to talk to you because, when I first heard about you and heard about the Beach Band, and I was looking around, and I'd heard your story, so I heard about the speech and this, it was for speech, but it was funny. I was at a conference not that long ago, and I was sitting there, and I'm thinking I was at a table, and it was a round table. There's probably 8 or 9 or 10 people there, and for a minute there, I kept thinking to myself, I'm the most unpopular guy in the entire world because everybody's phone is going off nonstop. Like everybody's getting texts or phones, and it's like the whole table is buzzing. And so finally, I look, and someone says, "Oh, sorry, that's my beach band." I'm like, "What the hell?" I feel like the odd man out. But then I'm like, "Oh, so tell me about it." I'm very curious. I want to know. I mean, I always want to try anything I can possibly do to stunt this thing or help with what's going on. And so. But to a person, what was really wild, what blew my mind, Carl, was that one person said, Brian, my co-host on Life Emotions, he's like, look, I've been wearing it, and my freezing has stopped. And then the person beside him said, hey, my anxiety is better. And then this one's like, and they were all different. And now I'm thinking, like, I either with a bunch of kooks, like they're all just drinking the Kool-Aid, or there's something going on here. And so that's why I wanted to know. And so to that end, and I was going to ask you that question about who's it for and what's it best for, but you've answered it so beautifully here in the beginning that I don't have to answer that. But that's amazing. So I mean, amazing feedback. I guess as a person, how does that make you feel? Like if you think about that, just on a personal level here, it has nothing to do with anything. But if you think back to that day when you were sitting on the couch watching Apocalypse Now, I would have been having M&Ms, by the way, but you're having your chocolate, but and you're eating it, like, and you're just tapping you're just kind of doing this thing to where you are today. Like how do you feel?
I cry a lot. I cry a lot with people. I put the band on people. I get on calls and I just watch their lives change. And it's just highly moving because when you've been in a hole and you find a way out, if you can help other people out and it works, it's mind blowing. But in terms of, it's humbling.
Yeah,
really.
It really is.
I mean, PD cost me a lot. I sit here today. I'm symptom and medication free.
Really?
Yeah, because
wow.
what we realised, and it's a longer answer to your question, but it's pertinent to it. And I'm not alone in this, so I'm told. Because what started to happen was people start to notice after many months, they get what I call a residual benefit. The band stops working, they take the band off, and they're still symptom free, or they're more under control. They start saying, "I'm getting more on time."
Yeah.
I just feel better. And I stopped taking meds because I forgot. I mean, you don't forget to take meds when you need to take meds to move.
Yeah.
I was skipping meds, and then I reduced them down further. My neurologist was aware, and I didn't need the meds. And then I thought, I wonder what happened if I take the band off. And you know what happened? I was normal again.
Wow.
I went to see my neurologist. He's a very eminent one, and he leaned over me and he went, "You're normal again." He said, "It's the band's done it. I think the band's done it." So I'm having to repeat that scan on the 17th of December, but I'm not the only one. There's a good number of us now who've been wearing it for some time. Bear in mind, I'm patient zero, so I'm 13 months in. It took 13 months to resolve it all completely.
Wow.
But I am now 130 odd days symptom and medication free.
Congrats.
I got this on today to show you, but it's actually not on at the moment. I mean, I don't need it to speak. I don't need it to balance. I can stand on one leg just fine, like a kung fu star. I'm fully mobile. All my dexterity is back.
That's awesome. That's amazing.
I'm fitter and better than I was in my late 30s.
That's incredible. Well, that's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. That's wild. So, okay. So like that, amazing. Like I'm kind of awe. I don't even know what to say, but
Well, people don't believe that I had Parkinson's, but I say to people, I could publish everything really. The story of my decline, my DAT scan diagnosis with 2 clinical exams, L-DOPA responsiveness, belt and braces diagnosis of idiopathic Parkinson's. My decline was severe.
Yeah.
Diabetes and Parkinson's are not a good combo. But then I still had some progression when I was first using the band. But when I went to 7 to 9 hours a day, every single day,
Yeah.
I
That was
mean,
the trick.
yeah,
That was the
and
trick.
yeah, and I don't know if there's a correlation with the meds, but I just sort of forgot to take them. But I think the BeechBand then had just a clear one on my brain, and you know, you got to do all this in consultation with your neurologist, right? But
Yeah, for sure.
but I'm a freak. I was the budgie in the cage in trying to see if there's gas still there, right? So
That's awesome.
I just experimented on myself.
Well, you know what? We human. We're human guinea pigs as it is, right? Because there's no cures or anything. I mean, have to do every test in the whole world just to prove that we don't have anything else, just so we can prove that we have this, right? And we go through all these battery of things. So I always tell everybody we got the stupid, silly disease that it just doesn't make sense. But that's absolutely amazing. So what's next? What's next with BeechBand? Where do you see this going? What's happening for the future?
Well, so just brought out the device that you guys get over there is called the 100D, and that's a refined device. So
Okay.
it's got longer, well, it's a lot quieter. It has a charging light, softer strap, etc. So we're going to keep building the device up. I want it to be a package where you can just put it on once a day, waterproof, 8-hour battery life and stuff. So we're working on constant development. We're
Yeah.
going through medical device certification. Probably won't be in the UK because it's £1.5 million. It's a bit of an industry around it, but we may announce as a medical device, say in Japan or Singapore first. And we just want to help millions of people. We're giving 25% of our profits away to neurological charities and great local causes around the world. We're committed to a low-cost device.
Wow.
It's scandalous, really. I mean, we're charging in the UK, it's £55. I think it's like $100 Canada. It's super cheap for what it does for people.
Yeah.
But we're committed to that because what often happens is patient-led innovation like this, and patient-led is one of our values.
Same here.
It gets stifled because the venture capitalists have to get involved to raise the money for your medical certification, and they want a return on their money. So you pay $1,000 for this rather than 100.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
we're disruptive, not for disruptive sake, because the whole system needs disrupting because
Oh,
it's
does it
unethical.
ever?
It's not just.
Yeah.
So we're committed to rattling chains and cages
Good.
and giving it our best shot to help millions. We want to give 1 million free devices into countries where there are no medications and stuff. So
I love it. I love it. You know what? That's I knew I was going to like you. That you're ringing my bell because that's that's kind of what we do around here. It's sort of like, listen, like you know what? We know what's going on. We're the only ones that know what's happening to our body, and everybody questions that. Like so, it's just like we need to take control back. Let Parkinson's define who we are, and push and advocate for ourselves. And that's it. That's really it.
There's no way. If I was going to go down, I was going to punch it in the face as many times on the way down.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I was going to drag that thing right behind me and I was going to, there was no way. There was no way. All right. Well, listen. And finally, for anyone who wants to follow along, try it, offer website, Carl, where do they go? What's the best way for them to get involved with you?
Well, so go to the website, beechband.com, but we have a wonderful community group, a closed private group where we can share openly on Facebook. Just go to BeechBand community and request to join. But we seem to be being seen all over the place at the moment. So we just get hold of. And hey, look, we're committed to helping people. So we do free webinars. We get up to like 800 people that will pop on those 2 times a month.
Beautiful.
They're free. Go as many times as you want. I even do one-to-one coaching with as many people as possible. Just trying to make this thing work for people. So
I love it. I love it. Well, Carl, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for walking us through this. And it's such an amazing, it was so honest in a real way. I appreciate what you're doing. Congratulations. Amazing. And we're going to have you on tomorrow's broadcast with Brian and I on Life in Motion. It's going to be fun. We're a little bit deeper, a bit longer, but it's good. But again, thank you so much for being here. And, and everyone else, make sure you double check the website, get involved. I'll have all the links in the description below. Get involved. And just before we go, I'll leave you with a Bryce-Ism today. And here is your Bryce-Ism. With Parkinson's, you learn pretty fast that nothing works for everyone, but something usually works for someone. The trick is staying curious long enough to find your something. And until next time, you keep showing up, you keep being real, and you keep doing life today. We'll see you in the next episode.
Parkinson's may be part of your life, but it doesn't get to define it. Thanks for listening to Living with Parkinsons, the good, the bad, and the reality. If this episode moved you, helped you, or reminded you you're not alone, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Want to go deeper? The Inner Circle is waiting. Monthly Zoom calls, 24/7 community, and a direct line to Bryce. You'll find the link in the show notes. Until next time, keep showing up and keep doing life today.